Alone on a strange planet, Zura opened her eyes slowly. Her body was cold, her skin covered in dust and dry leaves. Above her, tall trees reached into a sky she didn't recognize. It was blue. Too blue. The air smelled strange, like wet dirt and flowers. She sat up, her head spinning. Something was wrong. Her suit was torn. Her arm hurt. And her ship was gone. "Where am I?" she whispered. Memories came back in pieces. The crew running, the loud alarms, the bright flash, and then silence. They left her behind. No signal, no help, nothing. She stood up carefully, looking around. The forest was quiet but not empty. She could feel it. Strange creatures moved in the distance. They made sounds, high and low, not like anything she knew. Zura checked the small device on her wrist. The screen was broken. No signal, no location data, no communication. She was truly alone. Zura walked through the forest, her silver eyes scanning everything. Birds flew above her. Insects buzzed near her ears. Everything was alive, but so different from her planet. She found a small stream and knelt beside it. The water was clear. Her hands shook as she touched it. She hadn't drunk anything since the crash. She took a sip. It tasted strange, but safe. She didn't know how long she had walked before she saw the small wooden house. It was quiet. Smoke came out from a short pipe on the roof. Someone lived there. Zura crouched behind a tree and watched. After a few minutes, a man stepped out. He looked human. He had dark hair, tired eyes, and a cup in his hand. He looked peaceful, but sad Zura stayed hidden. She didn't trust him. Not yet. For 2 days, she watched the man from a distance. He lived alone. He fed birds. He talked to a dog. He played soft music on a small box. He didn't seem dangerous, but Zura was still careful. On the third night, it rained. Her shelter under the trees collapsed. She was cold, hungry, and weak. Her arm hurt more now. She needed help. She made a choice. Slowly, carefully, she walked toward the man's house. Ethan heard the knock at his door just after midnight. It was soft, hesitant. Not like a normal knock. He opened the door and found her standing there, wet, shaking, and silent. She didn't look like anyone he had ever seen. Her skin was pale blue. Her eyes were silver. She wore something strange. Part armor, part cloth, but she looked scared. "Are you okay?" he asked. Zura didn't answer. She didn't know the words. He stepped aside. "You can come in." She hesitated, then entered. The house was warm. It smelled like soup. The dog barked once, then walked away, tail wagging. Ethan gave her a towel. She stared at it, unsure. He gently wrapped it around her shoulders. She didn't speak, but she didn't run either. He gave her food. She sniffed it first, then took small bites. It tasted better than she expected. He watched her, curious but calm. "What's your name?" he asked. Zura didn't answer, but in her mind she repeated the question. Name. "Zura," she said slowly. Ethan smiled. "Zura, that's a nice name." She nodded. She pointed at him. "You?" "Ethan." She tried to say it. "Ethune." Close enough. That night, Zura slept on the couch. She dreamed of the stars, her crew, and the moment they left her behind. Their voices echoed in her mind. "She's not one of, so she questions too much. Leave her, we don't need her." She woke up breathing fast. In the other room, Ethan was still awake. He sat at a desk writing something, maybe a journal. Zura watched him quietly. This human didn't scream when he saw her, didn't run, didn't lock her out. He helped her. Why, in the morning. Ethan made breakfast. eggs, toast, and coffee. He offered it to her. Zura took it with small hands. They didn't speak much, but silence was okay. After breakfast, Ethan gave her an old hoodie to wear. Her suit was damaged and too bright. The hoodie was soft and warm. It smelled like earth and rain. She looked in the mirror. For a moment, she almost looked human. But deep inside, she knew she wasn't. And one day, others would come looking, not to rescue her, but to destroy what she had found. The man who didn't run Zura sat on the old couch, wrapped in a warm blanket. The rain tapped gently on the windows. The small wooden house smelled like firewood and coffee. It was peaceful, but her heart was. Not every time she closed her eyes, she saw it again. The ship rising into the sky, her crew staring down at her and turning away. They didn't forget her. They left her. Ethan was in the kitchen, quietly boiling water. He moved slowly, giving her space. He didn't ask too many questions, just small things. Are you okay? Are you hungry? Do you need more blankets? She didn't always understand the words, but she understood the kindness. On her planet, kindness was weakness. Emotions were distractions. But this man, he offered help without expecting anything in return. Why? Zura explored the house during the day. She found strange human things, books, spoons, shoes, something called a remote. Everything was new to her but fascinating. One day she found a photo on a shelf. It was Ethan, much younger, standing with a woman and a small child. She picked it up. Ethan saw her looking. He stood still for a moment, then spoke softly. That's my family, my wife, and my daughter. Zura looked at him. He smiled, but his eyes were heavy with pain. They're gone now. Car crash. 3 years ago. She didn't know what to say, so she just nodded, gently placing the photo back. For the first time, she saw the loneliness behind his smile. Maybe. He was as lost as she was. At night, she sat by the window, staring at the stars. Somewhere up there, her home planet was turning, in the dark. She didn't miss it. Not anymore. But she feared it. Zura's crew wasn't just a group of explorers. They were part of a secret mission. She wasn't supposed to tell anyone, but now she wasn't sure she cared. They had come to Earth to observe, to study, maybe even to take. Zura had disagreed. She thought humans should be left alone. That's why they left her. She had broken the rule. One morning, Ethan offered her a notebook and a pen. You can draw, he said. Or write, if it helps. She took it with both hands and sat down. She drew a circle for her planet, small dots for stars, and then she drew the ship. Leaving her behind, Ethan looked over her shoulder. His face changed. They left you, he said. Zura nodded slowly. A tear rolled down her cheek. Ethan didn't say anything. He just sat beside her. Sometimes silence said more than words. Days passed. Zura began learning human words quickly. Ethan helped her using pictures, objects, and slow speech. She liked the way he taught, not like a soldier but like a friend. They laughed when she said coffee as co-fish. She smiled when he learned to say her name properly. Zura. But peace never lasts. One evening, a small drone flew past the house. Ethan didn't notice, but Zura did. Her ears were sharper than his. She ran outside and looked up. The drone had a symbol. Government. Someone was watching. Inside, Zura opened a hidden compartment in her suit. She pulled out a small black device, cracked and half dead. Ethan watched from across the room. What is that? Zura looked at him. Her voice was quiet. They're coming. Who? She didn't answer. She was trying to fix the device. Ethan walked over. Zura, talk to me. Who's coming? Zura looked into his eyes. Not friends. That night, Zura told him everything. About her planet. About her mission. About the orders to study Earth. And about how she broke those orders to protect humans. Ethan listened without speaking. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair. So you're not just a visitor, you're a rebel. Zura tilted her head. What is rebel? Someone who stands up for what's right, he said, even when it's dangerous. She smiled. For the first time, she felt understood. The next morning, Zura and Ethan walked to a small hill near the forest. From the top, she could see far in every direction. She turned on the black device. It hummed, flickered, then stopped. She had sent out a signal, a warning to her people not to come. But the signal didn't only go to them. Somewhere underground, in a dark control room, a red light blinked on a monitor. A man in a black suit leaned forward. We found something, he said into a radio. Get a team ready. Back at the cabin, Zura and Ethan returned to their daily routine, chopping wood, cooking food, learning words. But the peace felt thinner now, like a quiet before a storm. Zura stood at the window again that night. Ethan came and stood beside her. What are you thinking? He asked. I was left behind, she said, but now I don't want to leave. Ethan looked at her. Then don't. But deep down they both knew this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Hiding in plain sight. The days grew warmer, but the air around the cabin felt colder. Zura felt it first. Something was watching. Not from the sky, but from the ground. Hidden eyes, quiet machines, listening without sound. Ethan didn't notice at first. He thought the trees were just trees, the wind just whined. But Zura knew better. She could feel the hum of technology in the soil. Something was waking up. They had to move carefully now. Ethan helped her blend in. She couldn't wear the alien suit anymore. Too risky. He gave her simple human clothes, jeans, hoodie, boots. Her pale blue skin still stood out, so she covered her face with a scarf and sunglasses. You look like a rock star, Ethan joked. What is rock star? Zura asked. Someone who doesn't want to be seen, but everyone sees them anyway. Zura smiled. Then not good disguise. Ethan took her to a nearby town. Just a quiet visit. Supplies, food, nothing strange. The town was small. People knew each other. When Ethan walked in, they waved and smiled. But when they saw Zura, they stared. Too long. Too curious. Ethan introduced her quickly. This is my cousin, visiting from far away. Zura nodded, said nothing. Her accent was soft, her words slow. An old woman at the store leaned closer. She don't look like she's from anywhere around here. Ethan laughed it off. She's not, really far away. Different sun. The woman chuckled. Must be hot there. Zura only smiled. They returned home quietly. But Zura had noticed the security camera above the gas station. She had seen the man in the black jacket watching from across the street. He pretended to read a newspaper, but it was upside down. They were being followed. That night, Ethan double-locked the doors. Zura took apart her broken tech trying to create a signal scrambler. If they were being tracked, she needed to stop it. You don't have to do this alone, Ethan said. Zura looked at him. I know, but I must. She had a plan. Next morning, a man knocked at the door. He wore a clean suit, smiled too much, and carried a small badge with no name. Morning. I'm from a government research department, just doing a routine check-in with local residents. Ethan nodded. Sure. What kind of research? Weather patterns, soil health, drone surveillance, science stuff. The man's eyes moved around the cabin. They landed on the couch, the kitchen, the back door, every detail. Zura stepped out of the hallway, pretending to just wake up. The man stared for a second too long. Your daughter? Cousin, Ethan said quickly. Interesting. He left without asking more, but his smile stayed long after he was gone. Zura stood by the window all day, watching. 2 black cars drove past the house. Slowly. Once in the morning. Again in the evening. The message was clear. They were not hidden anymore. That night, Zura finally spoke. They are not human government. Ethan looked at her. What are they? Private. Secret. They search for aliens. Test them. Take them. What will they do if they find you? She looked away. Take me and kill you. Ethan was quiet for a long time. Then they won't find you. The next day, they began building escape plans. Safe routes, forest trails, backup bags with tools and food. Zura also did something she had never done before. She tried to look human. Ethan found old makeup and skin spray from a costume box. Zura used it to cover her pale blue color. It wasn't perfect, but from far away, she looked normal. Her silver eyes were still strange. She wore sunglasses all the time. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Doesn't feel like me, she whispered. Ethan stood behind her. Maybe it's your new self. But something unexpected happened. As days passed, Zura began to enjoy the small human things. She learned how to cook. She watched cartoons. She laughed at jokes she didn't fully understand. The world of humans was full of warmth, emotion, and noise. Not like her planet, not like the silence of space. But danger returned faster than peace. One evening, while walking back from the store, Ethan noticed a van parked near the woods. 2 men inside, one with binoculars, one holding a tablet. He didn't say anything to Zura. Not yet. He waited until they were safe at home. We have to go soon, he said. Zura nodded. I know, but it was already too late. At midnight, the power in the cabin cut out. Total darkness. Zura stood up fast. Ethan grabbed the flashlight, but before he could turn it on, they heard it. A voice from outside. We know you're in there. Zura's heart pounded. We don't want to hurt you, we just want to talk. But if you run, we will come in. Ethan looked at her. We can escape through the back. Zura shook her head. No. They want you too. They think you know. Do I? Yes. Suddenly, a loud crash. The front door burst open. 2 armed men entered, laser lights cutting through the dark. Ethan pulled Zura behind the couch. Go now, he shouted. Zura didn't run. She reached into her hidden pouch, pulled out a small silver disc. She pressed it. A burst of light flashed across the room. The agents screamed, covering their eyes. Zura grabbed Ethan's hand. They ran into the forest. As they ran through trees and shadows, the moon lighting their path, Ethan gasped for breath. Where are we going? Zura looked back. Somewhere they can't find us. Ethan nodded. But they will try. She squeezed his hand. Let them. The search begins. The forest was quiet again, but it was not peace. Zura and Ethan had been running for 2 days, sleeping, under trees, drinking from cold streams, eating whatever they had packed. Zura didn't complain. She had been trained for worse. Ethan wasn't trained at all, but he didn't give up. They found an old cabin deep in the woods, abandoned and covered in vines. No power, no water, but 4 walls and a roof. It was enough. Zura cleaned the inside while Ethan lit a fire. Neither spoke for a while. They were too tired for words, too scared for silence. That night, Zura sat by the fire with a small silver device in her hand, the same device that had once sent a warning signal to her people. She held it tightly now. Are you going to try again? Ethan asked. Zura nodded, but this time, not a warning. What then? A call for help. Ethan hesitated. What if they don't come? Zura didn't look at him. Then, we fight alone. She pressed the button. The signal flew into the sky, beyond clouds, beyond satellites, deep into space. Ethan couldn't see it, but he felt it in his chest. A quiet pull, like something important had just been set in motion, something that could not be undone. Deep in space, far beyond Earth, in a dark metal ship hidden behind a dead moon, a signal blinked on a console. A young alien officer turned to the commander. It's her. The commander narrowed his eyes. Zura is alive? Yes, sir. And she's calling for help. The commander didn't speak for a long time. Then, prepare a ship. And weapons. We go to Earth. Back on Earth, Zura was having nightmares, again. But this time they weren't memories. They were visions, fire in the sky, human cities burning, ships falling like stars, her people, and Ethan, screaming. She woke up breathless. "Something's coming," she said. "Your people. Not just them." In a government facility hidden underground, the man in the suit stared at Zura's captured signal. "She's trying to reach out," he said. "Whoever answers won't be friendly." His boss nodded. "Then let's be ready." They activated Project Mirrorfall, a secret weapon designed for alien combat. Humans had been preparing for this for a long time, and now they had a reason to use it. Meanwhile, Ethan and Zura decided to keep moving. The cabin wasn't safe anymore. "How long before someone answers your signal?" Ethan asked. "Days, maybe less." "Are they going to save you?" Zura looked up at the stars. "I don't know, and if they're not here to help?" Zura's voice was firm. "Then we stop them." On the third night they camped near a lake. Reflections of the stars danced on the water. Ethan sat beside Zura, holding a small photo of his family. "Sometimes I think, maybe you were sent here to save me," he said. Zura looked at him gently. "Maybe. We were sent to save each other." They didn't speak after that. Just listened to the wind. Suddenly, a loud sound from above. A ripple in the sky. Ethan stood, up fast. "What is that?" Zura's eyes went wide. "A portal. They're here." A blue crack opened in the air like glass breaking. A sleek alien ship slipped through, silent and smooth, and vanished behind a mountain. "They're not landing near us," Ethan said. "They're hiding. Watching," Zura answered. "They don't trust me either." Hours later, Zura turned on her tracking lens. She saw 2 heat signatures near the town. One was alien, the other, human. "They've made contact," she said. "We have to stop them." Ethan packed the bag. "Let's go." In the town, Agent Coulter of the Secret Earth Task Force met with the alien commander under a false peace flag. "We want the girl," the commander said. "She's a traitor. She broke galactic law." Coulter didn't flinch. "She broke your rules, not ours." The commander's smile was cold. "You don't understand. If we don't take her, others will come. Much worse than us." Coulter raised an eyebrow. "Then, maybe, she's not the real danger." The commander stepped forward. "You think she's your friend, but Zura is a weapon. She just doesn't know it yet." Nearby, Zura and Ethan listened from the rooftops, hidden under a cloak of tech-powered invisibility. "He's lying," Ethan whispered. Zura didn't answer, because a small part of her wasn't sure. What if they were right? What if the tech inside her, the thing she'd been told never to activate, wasn't a defense system, but something else? As they escaped through the night streets, chased by drones, they barely made it to the forest again. Zura fell. Blood on her arm. Ethan helped her up. "We need to go." But Zura stopped. "No more running." "Zura, they want to use me, control me, both sides." She looked him in the eyes. "But I choose neither." "Then what do you choose?" "Us." She held out her hand. "Help me build something that stops them all." Ethan nodded. "What do you need?" Zura's eyes glowed slightly. "Hope, tools, and a little human rage." End of part 4, ready for part 5. Captured? In the next chapter, things take a dark turn. Zura is taken, Ethan is hunted, and secrets from both Earth and the stars come to light. Let me know when you want it and I'll write it right away. You said, start with part 5, more unique and lengthy and more interesting and more suspense and more power. Full storylines, ChatGPT, said absolutely. Here is part 5, Captured, the most intense, emotionally gripping and plot-heavy chapter yet. This part throws Zura and Ethan into chaos, introduces betrayal, raises the sci-fi stakes, and sets the stage for a powerful comeback. It's long, unique, and suspenseful. written in third person with simple but strong English. Part 5. Captured. The fire burned low in the cave. Zura sat cross-legged near the wall, breathing slow, eyes closed. Outside, Ethan stood guard with a metal rod in hand and fear in his heart. They had survived drones, tracking teams, and night patrols for 2 days straight. But something felt different now, like the hunt was over, like someone was waiting for them to stop moving. Earlier that day, Zura had made progress. With parts scavenged from crashed satellites and Ethan's old tools, she had built a small pulse emitter, a device that could temporarily disable any machine in a short radius. "You really think this will stop them?" Ethan asked, holding the emitter carefully. "Not for long," Zura said, "but long enough." "Long enough for what?" She looked at him. "For you to run if they take me." Ethan shook his head. "I'm not leaving you." Zura's voice was soft. "You may not have a choice." That night, as they slept, someone was already near. Not drones, not agents. Someone who used to know her. They came just before dawn. A sharp hiss, a blinding flash, and the cave shook. Ethan jumped up, coughing through smoke. He couldn't see anything. "Zura!" he shouted, but there was no reply. Just a dull thud, like someone hitting the ground. Then silence. When the smoke cleared, Ethan was alone. Her bag was gone. Her tools. Her. And on the floor, he found a message burned into the stone. "Property of the council will be retrieved." Zura woke up, strapped to a cold metal table. The lights above her were bright, too bright. She blinked against the glare. Voices echoed in the room, but they didn't speak her language. Yet she understood every word. "Scan her again. Look for the weapon code. It's dormant, buried deep, but it's there. Unlock it." Her heart pounded. She didn't know what they were talking about. A weapon? Inside her? A door hissed open. A tall alien figure entered the room, one she recognized instantly. Commander Vile, her former superior, the one who gave the order to leave her behind. "Zura," he said, "I warned them you were not ready for this world. Now you've made everything worse." She glared at him. "You left me to die." He shrugged. "You chose them over your own people." "I chose peace." Vielle laughed. "There is no peace, only order, and you are a tool for that order, like it or not." He turned to the technician. "Begin memory probe." Back in the forest, Ethan was on the move. He had no plan, no weapons, no help, but he had the pulse emitter, and a map Zura had drawn before they were attacked. On it was a symbol she never explained. He followed it. "Underground," Zura screamed. Not from pain, but from the memories being pulled from her mind. She saw her training, her first mission, her arguments with Vale, her decision to block the activation protocol, the thing buried deep inside her body, something made by the council, something she was never supposed to control. "What did you put in me?" she shouted. Vile didn't answer. The probe did. A hologram appeared. It showed a black sphere inside her chest, connected to her spine. A bomb? A weapon? A command device? The truth was worse. It was all of them. "You were meant to be a failsafe," Vielle said calmly, "in case humanity ever rose too far." Zura stared at him. "So you wanted to use me to destroy Earth?" "Not destroy, control. Fear creates obedience. You're monsters. And you were supposed to be one of us." Ethan found the hidden door buried under roots and stone. The entrance was sealed, guarded by a cloaked machine. It scanned him, locked in on his heart rate. Unauthorized life form detected. He activated the pulse emitter. Boom. The machine sparked and collapsed. He stepped through the broken entrance. Inside, alarms blared. Zura broke one of her restraints. Then the second. She grabbed the probe device and smashed it on the floor. Vielle shouted, "Contain her!" But it was too late. The activation protocol had failed. Zura had overridden it, using something Vial didn't understand. Human emotion. Will. Ethan reached the lower levels, using shadows and luck. He found Zura just as she was surrounded by 3 guards. Without thinking, he tackled one. Zura disarmed the second, the third ran, coward. Ethan was bleeding. "You came for me?" she asked, pulling him up. "I told you I'm not leaving." They ran. Alarms screamed, doors closed, fire broke, out in one hallway. Ethan's lungs burned. They reached the surface just as a ship descended from the sky. One of theirs. But it wasn't Vale's. Zura's message had been heard. A rebel group, aliens like her, had arrived to help. The ship opened its doors. Zura paused. Ethan looked at her. "You can go." "I don't want to." "You have to." She turned to him. "Come with me." Ethan shook his head. "This is my home." "Then I'll protect it. From both sides." She stepped into the ship, but not as a prisoner, as a warrior. In the shadows below, Vial escaped with a small device in hand. He pressed a button. Backup plan activated. Deep in space, something woke up. Something worse than him. Something Zura never knew existed. The Great Escape, the rebel ship tore through the sky like lightning. Silent, fast, angry. Inside, Zura stood at the window, watching the earth grow smaller below her. She wasn't running. Not anymore. She was planning. Ethan sat across from her, his arm bandaged, his face tired, but his eyes still burned with fire. "We escaped," he said. Zura nodded. "But it's not over." "How bad is it going to get?" She looked him in the eye. "This is just the beginning." The rebel ship. Myron's Flame. It wasn't a warship. It was a ghost ship, once stolen from the Council, now home to the last free aliens who believed in peace, not power. Their leader was Kale, a scarred warrior with one arm and no fear. He stared at Zura for a long time before speaking. "We got your signal. We thought you were dead. They wanted me to be," Zura said. Kale looked at Ethan. "And this is the human you risked your life for?" "Yes." "Interesting choice." Inside the ship, Zura found an old friend, Lina, an alien engineer who had vanished years ago. Lina showed her something hidden in the ship's core, a broken but working mirror core. Ancient tech that could copy energy and even rewrite code inside living beings. Zura froze. "They tried to rewrite me with this." Lina nodded. "We can reverse it. If you're ready." The process was painful. Wires, lights, old memories, deep thoughts. Zura relived every betrayal, every wound, every kind moment with Ethan. And then, silence. When she opened her eyes, something had changed. Not outside, inside. The weapon code was gone, burned out. Zura was free for the first time. She was truly herself. Meanwhile, on Earth, things were falling apart. Vial had escaped, but he didn't leave empty-handed. In a hidden base under the sea, he activated Arc-9, a powerful biomachine built from alien tech and human DNA, a weapon born from 2 worlds, made for one purpose: hunt Zura, and the rebels knew something was coming. They didn't wait. They made the first move. Starburn target, the main Council base orbiting Earth goal. Destroy its communication systems and cut off backup team. Zura, Ethan, Kale, and 2 rebel fighters. The plan was simple. Get in, destroy the signal core, get out. But nothing ever goes to plan. They landed inside the base through a hidden cargo tunnel. Red lights flickered, boots echoed, tension wrapped around them like cold wires. "We split," Kale said. "Zura and Ethan go for the core. We'll cover the exit." Zura and Ethan ran through narrow halls, avoiding patrols, disabling cameras with short bursts of stolen tech. They reached the core room. Massive, glowing, alive. Zura placed the charge. Then they heard it. A hiss, a growl, a scream not made by any living thing. Arc-9 had arrived. It dropped from the ceiling like a shadow, part metal, part muscle. Its face was smooth and empty, but its voice was familiar. "Hello, Zura." Ethan stepped forward. "Who are you?" Arc-9 tilted its head. "I am what she refused to become." Zura gritted her teeth. "Then you'll never understand why I fight." The creature charged. The fight was brutal. Zura used everything: her speed, her training, her pain. Ethan used his brains, throwing EMP devices, redirecting systems, locking doors. But Arc-9 was strong, faster than expected, smarter than it should have been. At one point, it grabbed Ethan by the throat. "This human makes you weak," it said. Zura screamed, and that scream turned into power. Something inside her, not the weapon code, but something real, exploded with energy. She punched Arc-9 with enough force to crack its armor. Ethan dropped, gasping. Zura stood over him. "You okay?" He nodded. She looked at the core. "Let's finish this." Boom! The charge exploded. Lights died. The station shook. They ran. Kale's team met them at the dock. One fighter was missing, but the ship was ready. As they launched into space, the station behind them collapsed in slow motion. Silent fire in the stars. Zura stood at the edge of the ship, her hand on the glass. "That's one piece gone," she said. Kale nodded. "But Vial's still out there." Zura looked down at Earth. "He's not the only problem." "What do you mean?" She closed her eyes. "The signal we stopped wasn't the only one sent." "What else did they do?" Zura looked back at him. "They called something else. Something older. Something worse. Humanity, her new home. The stars were quiet. But silence in space was never safety." Zura stood on the edge of the rebel ship, staring down at Earth. Below her were oceans, clouds, cities, people she didn't know, but had chosen to protect. Behind her, Kyle waited with news. "The signal reached deep space," he said. And something answered. Zura turned slowly. "What?" "Not Vial, not the Council. Something older." Kale showed her a holomap. A red dot blinked far beyond any known system. Then a second. Then a third. They were moving. Fast. Toward Earth. In the rebel war room, everyone stood silent. Lina, pale with fear. Kale, fists tight. Ethan watching Zura. "What did they call?" Ethan asked. Zura breathed in, slow. "The ancients. The ones who created the first bioweapons. They were banished long ago, frozen in space. We thought they were dead." Kale stepped forward. "They're not." Zura looked at everyone in the room. "This is no longer about me," she said. "It's not about rebels or the Council." "Then what is it?" Ethan asked. Zura's voice was steady. "This is extinction. Or evolution." Earth. 24 hours later, mass panic spread. Skies changed color. Static covered radios. People saw strange lights, then no stars at all. Governments had no answers, only silence, but one secret agency had a message. She knew this would happen. Find her. Zura made a choice. She would return, not as a prisoner, not as a fugitive, but as Earth's last defense. Final return to Earth. The rebel ship entered Earth's atmosphere like a falling meteor. Zura, wearing new armor, lightweight, human tech-infused, marked with two symbols, her people's crest, and a human fingerprint. Ethan beside her, holding a data drive filled with ancient knowledge stolen from Vale's lab. "If this works," he said, "we can shut them down before they land." "And if it doesn't?" Zura asked. He smiled weakly. "We buy people more time to say goodbye." They landed in the same forest where it all began. Zura stepped onto the Earth like she was touching it for the first time. Nearby, government forces surrounded them, but no one fired. A commander stepped forward. "You're Zura." "Yes. And you're the reason the sky is falling." Zura nodded. "But I'm also the reason you might survive it." Above Earth, the arrival, 3. Massive ships entered orbit, not sleek, not beautiful. They looked ancient, wounded, like broken bones floating in space. Each carried a hive of creatures, bioengineered monsters made of metal, muscle, and code. Zura felt them before she saw them. They were looking for her. Zura turned to Ethan. Ready? Not even close. Good. Let's do it anyway. Battle begins. The fall of Vale from the shadows. Vale appeared again, commanding one of the hive ships. He had merged with ancient tech. His voice was deeper, body stronger, mind colder. You should have joined me, he said through the broadcast. Zura replied calmly. You should have left me on Earth. Vile launched a full assault. Machines, creatures, storms of energy. Cities shook. Oceans boiled. The world cried. But Zura fought back, not with destruction, with direction. She used the pulse of her heart, the same signal that once marked her, as a weapon, and turned it into a beacon of resistance. Ethan's mission. The final code. While Zura held the sky, Ethan reached the core station hidden in Antarctica, where the ancients had secretly rooted themselves. His task: upload the virus they made together, one shot, one chance. Inside the core, everything was alien, glowing roots, breathing metal, floating minds. But Ethan pressed forward. He reached the terminal, typed the final line, for Zura, for Earth. Upload complete. Zura's stand, choosing her. World Vale attacked her with everything, but Zura had already changed. She wasn't a soldier, wasn't a tool, wasn't just an alien. She was something new. Her power came not from her planet, but from her choice. She sent a final pulse, not to destroy but to awaken. The creatures paused, hesitated for one brief second. They remembered peace. Vale screamed, but he was already too late. The storm clears, the skies calmed, the ships fell silent. The threat was gone. Zura collapsed in the dirt, alive, barely. Ethan found her, dropped beside her, held her. We did it, he said. Zura smiled weakly. No, we started it. Months later, cities rebuilt. People healed. No one forgot. Some still feared her, but most called her what she finally was. Hero. Zura never left Earth again. She grew tomatoes in Ethan's backyard. She taught children how to speak in stars. She built a lab with Lina. She made peace with both sides of herself. She was not born human. But this planet was her home, because someone showed her kindness when everyone else turned away.